If there is one thing that men deeply respect in a woman and respond emotionally to, is this: a woman with clear and strong boundaries. This single quality will set you apart from everyone else that he meets. Now, what is a boundary? In simple terms, a boundary is a clear standard that you set to protect your well-being in relationships. I like to explain boundaries like this. Imagine there's a bubble around you, okay? And this bubble represents your beliefs, values, and peace. So when you interact with men, they have their own bubbles, okay, that sometimes clash with yours. So if your bubble isn't strong enough, if you don't clearly show how you want to be treated and what you value, you can end up people-pleasing, feeling powerless, and losing touch with your authentic self. My name is Ismael Gomez, and ladies, today's video is one of the most important ones that I ever made. Okay, so stop multitasking, give me your full attention as I walk you through the different types of boundaries and how to use them in your interactions with men, so they respond to you with admiration, respect, and a deeper emotional connection. Okay, so let's begin. Number 1, emotional boundaries. This first type relates to your feelings and how you share them with the other person, okay? If you ever feel undervalued, guilty, or ashamed after expressing yourself because of your partner's response, it may be time to have a conversation about your emotional boundaries. Like when you share an experience with a man and he replies with, that's crazy, or that's not what you really feel. If you often find yourself defending your emotions in such situations, it's likely that your boundaries are a bit blurred in that area. Now, ladies, this doesn't mean that you can use this to justify behavior that could hurt the other person, right? For example, saying something like, I was feeling sad and lonely because you wouldn't listen to me, so I went and I called my ex because he's a great listener. Come on now. Another element in this category is emotional dumping. I see so many women struggle with this, and many of you feel an overwhelming responsibility to always be available to listen to a man's complaints, even on days when you feel, emotionally drained or dealing with your own challenges. Deep down, you have this fear that if you're not there for him every single time, he might lose interest or even walk away. Number 2, time and energy boundaries. One personal boundary and standard that I've always had is this: if someone cancels on me twice in a row, like they cancel today and then again tomorrow, that's it. Unless it's due to a serious emergency, which is almost never the case, I will not make plans with that person again. Now, you might think, Ismael, isn't that a bit extreme? But here's the thing, okay? You need to look at yourself first. When I reflect on my own actions, I have never canceled a date or a meeting with anyone, okay? In fact, I've even gone on last-minute dates while feeling completely exhausted because I genuinely wanted to see her. And that's how much I value showing up. So when you're willing to put in that kind of effort for a man, it's only fair to expect the same commitment from him. Otherwise, it's a sign that he's not respecting your time. Another example of someone breaking those boundaries is when you have those crazy exes that you block and you tell them to not contact you. They keep reaching out, calling you from unknown numbers or sending you emails to bypass your boundaries. Or when the tables turn and you're the crazy ex, right? Breaking those boundaries. Because yes, ladies, I'm holding you accountable too.
What's your best relationship advice?
Marry someone who has the attitude that everything is work-outable. Like if there's a flag, if there's a tension there, something that makes you uncomfortable, those are things to note, but not necessarily run from. So that's an opportunity to kind of press in and explore and see what happens. Instead of making assumptions, instead of running, ask questions. What do you mean by that? That's a great question to ask.
That's something we've been practicing for a long time. Instead of making statements, we ask questions.
Number 3, intellectual boundaries. This type of boundary is about what you think, your values, beliefs, and opinions. In relationships, a common issue is a lack of respect for different perspectives. People often talk about compatibility, but even a couple who shares the same religion, can struggle if one person dismisses or belittles the other person's opinion. On the other hand, an atheist and a Christian can make it work if they respect each other's beliefs and are willing to compromise. And this is something that I always tell the men who follow me. Sometimes guys come to me saying, Ismael, I don't want my girl posting pictures of herself in a bikini on Instagram for other guys to see. Or I don't feel comfortable when she goes to clubs with her single friends, but when I tell her how this makes me feel, she calls me possessive or controlling. And this is where many people get confused, especially when you're watching content that tells you, what women should wear, what guys should do, right? I always tell men that there's no right or wrong answer here, okay? Just two people with different values. My advice is always simple. Find a woman who naturally doesn't do the things that make you uncomfortable, okay? Because there are millions of women out there who think the same way that you do. You know, and this reminds me when I dated an actress back in college. I used to live in New York and I was dating this actress, so on our second date, she invited me to go see her play. So I go to the theater, I sit down, and right in the opening scene, okay, she comes out and it's kind of like a bedroom, and 5 seconds into the scene, a guy rushes into the scene, grabs her by the arm, kisses her, and they start making out passionately. So I'm sitting there in the audience looking around like, that's the girl that I'm dating. And right there and then, I knew that I was never dating an actress again. You know, this is just a boundary for me. Much respect to anyone who marries an actor, but this is not for me. Number 4, physical boundaries. On this one, I want to focus specifically on physical intimacy. And here's what I want to start with, okay? Never compromise your comfort or safety to sexually please a man. If it makes you feel uneasy or puts you at risk, don't do it, okay? Let me tell you ladies that if there is one thing that will filter out most time wasters and manipulators, is having strong boundaries around physical intimacy. You know, a lot of times women come to me and say, Ismael, I told this guy that I didn't want to sleep with him on the 3rd date and he ghosted me. And to that I say, good, you just dodged a bullet. Because here's the most important thing you need to understand about boundaries, okay? Listen well. Setting boundaries is going to create tension, always, okay? Respect requires tension and friction. For example, if we meet in person at one of my live events, let's say, okay, and you try to give me a hug and I say, hey, I don't know you that well, okay, you're probably not going to like it, right? But guess what? I would rather be respected than liked, okay? And that's a mindset that I want you to embrace. And final, number 5, financial boundaries. So there's a Netflix documentary called The Tinder Swindler. I don't know if you ladies have seen it, but it's about a man who scammed countless women into paying him millions of dollars. If you want a crash course on the importance of financial boundaries, I suggest that you check it out. I mean, maybe I'm too traditional, but as a man, asking my partner for money would have to be a life or death situation, honestly, for me. I mean, even when I was broke, I would always just use a credit card and then pay it back. Also, once you enter a committed relationship, it's crucial to get clear about your finances. Are you going to combine them? Are you going to have different bank accounts? Because unfortunately, many people avoid these conversations. So they simply go along with whatever their partner suggests, even though it doesn't feel right to them. Alright ladies, I hope you found this video insightful, and I'd love to know, out of these 5 boundaries, which one do you struggle with the most? This is going to help me plan future videos that will feel more relevant to you. I have personally struggled with time and energy boundaries because of my profession. You know, there's always people that want to set up meetings and ask for advice, so I had to learn to say no, even if it meant losing followers who didn't respect my limits. Anyways, thank you for subscribing to my channel. I'm glad that you chosen me to learn about self-love, dating, and relationship dynamics, because like I always say, for your relationships to change, you need to change. Have a beautiful day.